Hello and welcome to this new video. Very recently I saw a video, and in that there was this excuses given for Muhammad's marriage to many women, and it's a really interesting video. He is not quoting any of the scriptures, but he is giving a lot of reasons why Muhammad married so many ladies. I would request you to be with me in this video reviewing session, and let's watch what is his reasoning. This is that video. It's titled as "The Biggest Lie Against Prophet Muhammad's Marriage." So, off we go.
There have always been people who wanted to eliminate Islam. In the first years of the revelation, in the following centuries, just like today, we come across such Islamophobes in different places on the internet. They try very hard to find flaws in Islam and
Wow, it's very interesting to see that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is an Islamophobe, along with Xi Jinping, the Chinese the Chinese president, French President Emmanuel Macron, and David Bird. These all are Islamophobes, according to our dear friend.
Don't you dare ever criticize Islam. That's Islamophobic.
Muslims away from their religion. There's a question they've been using and trying to bring forward on every occasion they can for many years. Inshallah, today we're going to answer that question very clearly. Until now, people of various religious beliefs have come to our madrasa. Atheists have come, Christians have come, even believers in the spaghetti religion have come. All kinds of people have come. They received the answers to their questions and left. We don't trust ourselves. We trust the wise Quran and the Islamic books we read. So what is the thing that hypocrites have been talking about for many years and today's Islamophobes also use a lot? Since our Prophet ﷺ married many times, they accuse him of being, ma'adallah, a lustful person. They say that if he hadn't been such a man, he wouldn't have got married so many times. They also say that if the maximum number of women a man can marry is 4 in Islam, then how did the Prophet have more than 4 wives at the same time? It may seem like a challenging question at first, but it is easy to understand that it's actually a slander. How? Simply by looking at the life of our Prophet ﷺ. If we only look at one part of his life, we may get the wrong idea.
So there is a part which gives us the wrong idea. So you agree to that? Well, I am more than open to look at what is the right idea you can get out of the Prophet of Islam. And as you quoted earlier, you'll get it from the Quran or the Islamic holy books. I mean Hadith or Sirah or whatever it is. So,
but if you look at it holistically, from different perspectives, the truth will come out. First, let's ask this question. When do boys enter puberty? Generally between the ages of 12 and 14, right? Of course, at that time and in that region, it was a little earlier.
Oh, really? So I guess you should be able to quote 1 or 2 or more than that documents or some credible sources by which you can, establish your cause. Can you put it?
Biologically, libido, sexual desire, is high in men between the start of puberty and the age of 40. After 40, it decreases. When we look at the age when the Prophet ﷺ got married for the first time, we see that it was 25, a late age for marriage for those times and region. And at the age of 25, did our Prophet ﷺ marry a 16-year-old girl? How old was Khadija radiallahu anha, his first wife? 40 years old, and she was a widow.
Why are you telling us stories after stories about Khadija's age? Why don't you produce evidence which proves that Khadija was 40 years of age at that point in time? Did not you say that the Quran and the Islamic holy books are there with you to support you? So why don't you put those references? Just telling stories wouldn't suffice for at least a critical thinking person like me. I give in. So assume that Khadija was 40 and Muhammad was 25 when they got married. So what exactly are you pointing to? You somehow missed out that at the age of 40, the woman gets a very high libido. You said that at 25 or even lesser than that, men have high libido. But then the same goes true for a woman when she is in her late 30s or early 40s. And that is where Khadija's age is. So 2 people with high libido pairing up together. So who is at an advantage or disadvantage? In fact, Muhammad was earlier at an advantage And he made good of this, marriage, so-called marriage. And from what the history books tell us that, see, Muhammad would not have got any good girl. We know that, Abu Talib's daughter, Hani, Fakita, Muhammad wanted to marry her. But Abu Talib said, no, Muhammad, you don't have money. And he got her married to a wealthy person. So that was the status of Muhammad. So at the end, it was Muhammad who gained in the whole affair, the whole marriage. What exactly are you pointing out?
So he married someone who had been married before. Plus, she already had 3 children. Moreover, Khadija radiallahu anha proposed to the Prophet. He was known for his handsomeness and ethics. He was a chaste and honest person.
Wow, he was handsome, he was ethical, he was chaste, and he was honest. Good. So let's evaluate each of those points. He was handsome? Probably yes. No wonder Khadija liked him and took him in. So neither have I seen your prophet, so I don't comment on that. The second point, you say he was ethical. Do you know that he got married with Khadija by tricking her father or his father-in-law? Khadija got her father drunk, and in an intoxicated state, he somehow said that, okay, go ahead and marry. And then this man regretted for having said so. Is that ethical to you? Why wouldn't you consider that as a problem? His own wife, Khadija, and Muhammad, these people kind of, came to an agreement that probably, her father may not agree to the marriage. And so this was the trickery played on him. And you think this is ethical? Good luck. The next point which he mentioned is being chaste. So that is really a surprising point which he put forward. I mean, as far as I know, Muhammad did not care for his chastity. He used to have sexual relationship with multiple women. I mean, anybody reading Surah 33, 50, 51 should be able to get it. But let me quote this particular incident for the benefit of others. You know that there is one wife of Muhammad by name Hafsa. And what happened was that she went out for some reason to Aisha's place. And Muhammad took that as an advantage to have sexual intercourse with his slave girl, Maria the Copt. And even more funnier is that while they were in the act, Hafsa and Aisha came back and they caught them red-handed. Was that chastity? I mean, unless you have a different meaning for chastity. According to me, chastity is maintaining a sexual purity and not going for extramarital affairs and all those things. Is that how, unless you have to redefine the truth and twist the value of or the meaning of chastity, he fails terribly. No way you can say he was a chaste person. Or unless you want to say that, okay, till the marriage of Khadija, he was chaste, and after that, he no more was chaste. And for that, again, I would require references, which sadly is lacking from your part. Now, concerning the last part, where he said that the Prophet was a honest person, and that is the reason why Khadija married him. Well, could be that he was honest at that point in time, because that time he was not kind of prophet. Khadija was the one who certified him as a prophet, including Waraka. So possibly he was honest then, but then later on, he himself said that he has fabricated lies and told things in the name of God, which God never said. So with that kind of thinking, that's it.
No one heard him lie to anyone even once. Everyone trusted him so much that they gave him the nickname Al-Amin, that is, the trustworthy. Even his enemies did not hesitate to entrust their belongings to him.
I don't know how long will you continue to do this kind of propaganda, but I'm here quoting your own books, proving cases against your propaganda. You know, Aisha, his most favorite wife, never trusted him. There is this, Surah 33, Surah Al-Azab 33, verse 50, 51, where Muhammad gave himself an exclusive status where, any woman in the town or neighborhood could come and present her body to him, and he could do whatever, you know. And following that surah, there is this lady called Kala who came to Muhammad to present her body to him. The translators, though, say it's for marriage and all those things. We know nikah is not marriage, it's zawaj. Nikah is basically sexual intercourse. So she came, and that time Aisha is reprimanding, kind of very annoyed with Muhammad, and says that your Lord hastens or hurries to fulfill your desires. I mean, even Aisha knew that this is a made up Allah who is trying to do things. Muhammad is trying to do things in the name of Allah. How long will you not know it? See, Aisha knew this was a dishonesty in the name of God. But you again say that honesty, and what is that? Al-Amin, As-Sadiq. Show me one hadith in your authentic hadiths. Where exactly is Muhammad called as As-Sadiq, Al-Amin? Show me one hadith. There is nothing. It's all part of the propaganda. He was never Al-Amin.
So it was very easy for him to marry any girl he wanted. But he married a middle-aged woman when he was at an age when a man's libido is at its peak.
But Khadija's libido was also at the peak when she was 40 years old.
And he didn't marry anyone else until Khadija died at the age of 65, when the Prophet ﷺ was 49, 50. So for 25 years, when his youth was at its peak, he was married to one woman. Though our mother Khadija radiallahu anha encouraged him to marry other women many times, saying, if you have such an intention, don't hold yourself back, he always said no.
So what exactly did you prove by this? Did you not realize that you have indeed shot yourself at your feet? You proved your critics right. See, you started off saying that Muhammad was in that age of high libido. But then we also proved that the same goes true for Khadija. She was also at an age of high libido. Two high libido people pairing up together, good, no problem. But then you go on to say that she could not manage this high libido of Muhammad. You did not say that, but then you said something which actually proved the case. You said that Khadija said, go ahead and look for other women as well, so that what exactly do they do with another woman? So Khadija very well clearly knew that she was not able to satisfy this man with insatiable lust, insatiable libido. Now, you said that it was, you are proving things against the lust. Maybe you should look at some definitions of what is actually lust, and that could help you. Here we go. This is the definition or the connection between lust and libido. Let me read it for you. Lust is the desire for sexual gratification from a person. Libido is the distance between need and gratification. In psychology, psychoanalysis, lust is often treated as a case of heightened libido. So was Muhammad filled with lust? Yes. And it is even more interesting where you said that, Muhammad did not go after other women till the death of Khadija. That is not because he did not have lust for other women, because you already proved the case contrary to your point. But what he held on was a material benefit. Had he gone after other women, do you think he would have got all the wealth of Khadija? And you think she's an idiot not to even know that? Well, use some gray cells, that will help you. But I will go ahead and prove that his libido kept increasing, if libido is the answer, because he went ahead and did a lot of sexually immoral things throughout his life. I'm not kind of quoting what happened with little Aisha, but there are so many incidents. Let me quote two of them. Okay, the first incident is about him abducting a wealthy woman. Wealthy woman means she calls herself princess and queen. So I guess she is of a very high stature or a high status family. He abducted her along with her wet nurse. Wet nurse, if you know, for those who don't know, this is a lady who accompanies the mother to feed the suckling. Because usually this happens when there is a high status lady. She does not want to be seen as suckling her newborn child. So she kind of hires a wet nurse who also has breast milk, and she gives milk to this child as well. So consider the status of that lady. She already had a wet nurse. She was a very high status woman. So what did Muhammad do? He kind of abducted this lady and put her in a room or maybe a house and locked her. See, the hadith writer kind of says that lodged her. But in reality, if you see the context, how it is explained, she was abducted. And Muhammad went with some of his friends and took her out of the house and or maybe inside the house and asked her that, I want to have sex with you. Think of that. The kind of the writing says that I want to take you in marriage, but that's not what it's written there. I want you physically. That is what Muhammad says. You can go to the Arabic and read that. Interestingly, this lady says that, see, I am a queen, I am a princess. Why would I even come and consider you, you market goon? She says that she calls Muhammad as a market goon. The translator of the hadith kind of says that he's an ordinary person. No, but go and get the real Arabic translation, and you will know that she called him a market goon. Because he was kind of a goon, abducting people and doing with them whatever he wants to do. She called him by the right name. And there goes the Al-Amin thing. She puts the Al-Amin to trash. She calls him the market goon. But over and above, just think about it. He was filled with lust that he wanted to take somebody's wife who had given birth to a child. Remember, she had the wet nurse. That means she had a suckling child along with her. And that is the kind of lust-filled person Muhammad was. Now let me go to the second incident. Okay, so the next one is about a beautiful lady from a place called Khaybar. Her name was Safia, and her husband's name was Kinana. He was kind of the leader of the town, maybe the mayor type. He was basically a tribal leader. Okay, so he got married to this Safia, and it was at that point in time when Muhammad attacked, he and his goons, dacoits. They attacked this place called Khaybar and killed her husband, her father, her uncle, and took her. Because she was beautiful, Muhammad kind of selected Safia for himself, and within 3 nights, I mean, that is what the hadith says, but there are other sources which says that in the very same night, Muhammad had sex with her, made her his wife. So that was the kind of guy Muhammad was. And in Quran, chapter 2, verse 234, there is something which says that when you take a wife who happened to be a widow, in this case, Muhammad killed her husband and made her a widow, not that it was a natural death. And the Quran says that if you take such a lady, you should wait for 4 months and 10 days as a period of iddah before you have sex with her. But here Muhammad could not wait for 1 night or maybe 3 nights according to some hadiths. And he had immediately sex with her. What does that show? He was a man filled with lust.
The multiple marriages of the Prophet ﷺ that they mention took place after he was 50 years old. Then those marriages must have had different reasons and benefits. We are going to deal with them too, but when we look at his life, we clearly understand that nobody can find any excuse to slander him for being a lustful person.
Why should anybody slander a man which is considered as important or holy by 1.7 or 2 billion people, as you guys claim? There is absolutely no reason, and unless that is supported by some documentary evidence. Now, what is the documentary evidence which I have given and what you have given? I have given enough and more documentary evidence, and that is not by some writers who support a view which is contrary to Muhammad. Note that I have given you evidence from Quran, from Sahih Hadiths, from your historians like Tabari. So why should you say it is a slander? Shall I bring you again a Quranic verse which proves that he indeed was lustful? Let me go to Surah 33, verse 50 and 51. Surah Al-Ahzab, verse 50, 51. This is a very interesting, passage where, this so-called Allah is giving a very exclusive privilege to Muhammad. And what is that privilege? I mean, it's nothing spiritual. It's, very carnal in the sense that he can take the wives and women of your neighbor. How good is that? Why should anybody's neighbor's wife or some lady in the town could come and sleep with you, and you can actually pick and choose? Oh, this lady I can take, this lady, or not good enough, let her go. That kind of attitude was displayed in Surah 33, verse 50 and 51. See, I have put up here, you can read for yourself this surah, which clearly says that the Prophet of Islam was a very lustful person. He made Allah say things which obviously, I guess, see, even Aisha knew this was a made up surah, a made up verse, and she got pretty annoyed, which I mentioned earlier. Now that you are repeating the same thing, so let me put this as well, so that you can, the viewers can see it and know how lustful and carnal was this man. And he restricted the other Muslims for 4 wives, but his is unlimited. He can just pick and choose, use and throw, whatnot. He did that with Sauda, by the way, use and throw. Shall I get back to you on that? I hope you don't need it.
What are the reasons for those marriages? What is the wisdom behind them? Most of us like historical war movies, right? In those movies, we see the custom of marriages between tribes and kingdoms. For example, the daughter of the King of Scotland marries the King of England. There are many marriages like that, and there are really countless examples of it in history. So, what do you think is the purpose of it? Alliance.
Oh, alliance. Okay. Got it. And what was that alliance which he wanted from Zainab, the wife of Zaid, his adopted son? Was that an alliance that he required? And why is your eminent writer Tabari goes into details describing the affair that he had with his then daughter-in-law? You know that his heart skipped a beat and all those stories, and then he went ahead and made Allah say that Allah wants him to marry, Muhammad to marry his adopted son's wife or his daughter-in-law, so that he can nullify the practice of adoption. I mean, you can, sensibly thinking, you can just nullify the practice of adoption if you wanted it. But why does the Prophet go ahead and have this affair with his daughter-in-law and then finally marry him by divorcing his son or foster son, whatever you can call him? But then, was that an alliance or a new type of alliance? I guess you have something to answer on that. And hey, by the way, I don't disagree with the alliance part, but for your information, the reason, one of the primary reason why he married Aisha was that he knew that Abu Bakr was thinking the second time whether he wants to stick on to this prophet. So this was Muhammad's way of trapping Abu Bakr to stay with him by marrying little Aisha. So yes, that way I can accept that.
The second wisdom. When there are wars, the population of man decreases significantly. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were many widows because of that and for some other reasons.
Oh, wow. Very interesting logic is what you have presented here. On one side, you are saying that wars create widows, but somehow you fail to acknowledge the fact that all those wars, which is cited in the Islamic books, right from the Battle of Badr down all the way even till the attack of Hamas on the Israelis, are actually initiated by you guys. There is no two way about it. When you read verses like Surah 8, 12, where you are commanded to fight and Allah is ready to cast horror on the disbelievers. And kind of Allah is saying that you should continue to fight the war till the whole world is captured, as in Surah 8, 39. What exactly do you expect to happen after that? You guys initiate the war, kill men, take their wives, and say that, oh, these are widows, we are being merciful to them. So come on, we are merciful. I mean, what exactly is that? How do you, separate the lust for women from the result of war? You guys fight, kill the men, take the woman, and if the woman is good, you take them as wives. And if she's not too good, but good for some sexual gratification, then you take them as slaves which your right hand possesses. And what kind of sick religion is this, where you kill others and do all these things and then say that, oh, we are being merciful? And then you guys go ahead and then tell us that, oh, we are ready to give protection, and that is why we are marrying these widows. Well, widows, if they are supposed to be protected, you need not marry them. You can consider those widows as sisters or mothers and be respectful to them. But the moment you start marrying them, you actually expose your lust for their body. You objectify these women. Don't you protect your mother? Don't you protect your sister in the normal course of events? And why should you not do that to those ladies who were made widows by your action of killing their husbands? And then you capture those widows, what kind of mental state they would be in. And then you kind of give this kind of excuses. How perverted can it get? Think over, my friend.
Like some of the companions, our Prophet ﷺ also married such women who needed protection. Indeed, most of our Prophet's marriages were with widows. Do you think a lustful man would marry a 50-year-old woman with 5 children out of lust? Does it make sense? I mean, isn't it clear that the intentions of those who say so are not good and sincere?
Well, probably you haven't heard the term called cougars, where middle-aged women have attraction to younger men, or even older women have attraction to middle-aged men. So that is a normal thing. Men and women of any age can have attraction. They don't have a barrier like, oh, if the woman has 2 or 5 children, probably he will not get attracted. No, sexual attraction does not depend on the number of children the woman has. But people can desist from going forward because of the children, which is a logical reasoning, because the responsibilities get multiplied. But then you start at a very wrong premise where you say that, oh, those people who says that anybody who goes and marry a woman with 5 children, they are not sensible, doesn't see any sense. Well, you are at the wrong end of the stick, my friend. It does make sense when sexual attraction and libido works.
Now the third and the most important reason. Have you heard the expression Azwaj al-Tahirat? It is a term used for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. If you pay attention to it, who takes care of your education, especially at home? Mothers, right? We are not aware of how much we learned from our mothers. At that time, the women of that period also needed to take lessons. But since the Prophet could not give them those lessons one by one, and since women could not talk about every issue comfortably with the man, especially with the Prophet, there had to be women in his house, his wives, who were seeing and witnessing every one of his states so that they become very knowledgeable Muslims in almost all aspects of the religion.
Well, this is one point which I fully endorse and agree to our dear friend. Because had it been not for the hadiths, which is recorded in those Sahih al-Bukhari, Muslim, Sunan an-Nasai, and Abi Dawud, and all those guys, which finally attributes to Aisha, we would not have known much of his private life. But sorry to say, even I feel embarrassed to bring it to open, so I would not tell you here, but there are so much of his private lives which is a true embarrassment for most Muslims, and it is for you to go and read it. Thankfully, those translators are trying their level best to twist and turn the translations, but then anybody who knows Arabic will be really embarrassed. But before closing this, I'd like to quote two hadiths which come from Aisha, where she is the important factor. So one of that hadith is this. It is about she complaining to the Prophet of Islam that he and his Allah considers them, that is woman, equal to dogs and donkeys. It's a very interesting factor where, Muhammad thinks that the presence of woman, dog, or a donkey will invalidate the prayers. So Aisha felt very upset. And the second one is where there is this lady who got divorced her first husband and then went and married with some other guy, and he was very abusive in nature. And Aisha is complaining to Muhammad, saying that the believer ladies are the most abused of all the other women. She showed a lady whose skin had turned green because of the beating she received by her new husband. And surprisingly, your Prophet was not even compassionate at that lady. He was more or less supporting this new husband who had beaten her up. And welcome, ladies, this is the kind of religion you are in. And before I end this video, I would like to give you a snippet of another lady, why she left Islam.
Today I want to share with you 5 reasons why I left Islam. I'm sharing this for those who might relate or are curious to know my perspective. I'm also sharing this because these reasons resonate with thousands of other people who are living Islam every day. Of course, each person's journey is different and unique, but this is me, and I'm going to talk about me, why I left Islam. Reason number 1, slavery and right hand possess. I would never accept that a religion will allow another human being to own another human being like a property. Even if you will say that we will treat them well, doesn't matter. The concept of slavery in Islam allows you as a man to have sex with your right hand possess whenever you want. There is no limit to the age. There is no restriction if they are married or not. You can sell them and you can gift them. It's not only a problem, it's a disaster. And nobody should justify it, period. Reason number 2, punishment. I struggle with the narrative around violence and severe punishment. It's crazy to see the amount of comments in Quran itself asking people to go and unalive each other. This violence is not only through actions, but it's also through hatred, discrimination. I cannot accept and I cannot understand why would God, Allah, say something like that in a book like Quran. Reason number 3, treatment of women. Women in Islam suffer a lot in many levels, not only because your husband is allowed to beat you, marry other women, and control your life, simply because there is no respect at all for women. The teaching of Islam about women is very low, disrespectful, and doesn't show any kind of kindness. Reason number 4, contradiction with science. And I think even Muslims can agree with me on this point, because we saw it in many verses, in many topics about babies, the creation of earth, the creation of the universe, the location of sun, how mountains are created, etc. This contradiction between modern science and the teachings of Quran is so clear and nobody can deny it. Reason number 5, child marriage. Actually, I was not aware of this until I left Islam, and a friend of mine brought it to my attention. I didn't focus on it, I didn't know that it even exists until later on. I looked at the verses and I saw that little girls who did not even start their cycle can be divorced from a marriage which was consummated and have to do the iddah, the waiting period, to make sure that they are not pregnant. There is no limited age for marriage in Islam. And this kind of concept and this tragedy is still happening until now in many countries around the world. Nobody should accept it and nobody should justify it. These are my reasons. What are your reasons?